Hey everyone, this is Kogi from creativekogi.com and welcome to week 6 of the Impi Aneesa Mandala Cal. This week we are working part 3 of the pattern and we will be working rounds 1 to 8. I was a little bit optimistic thinking we could do 1 to 12, but it took me a long time to do 8 because it is a much bigger blanket now and it takes longer to get through the rounds. So please excuse the voice for this week. I have a bit of a sore throat and I'm going to try not to make this video too long. Okay, so last week we worked our 8 rows, not rounds. We worked 8 rows to complete our corner. And you can see this blanket's now getting too big to fit on the screen, but here we go. The first thing I want you to do is, starting in any chain 2 corner space, I want you to count 10 stitches to the left. So there we go. And 10 stitches to the left. There it is. And place your marker in the stitch. And the reason why we do that is when you're working a front post stitch, what happens is that when working the stitch, often that the post seems to fall over the stitch and hides that first stitch. So you actually think you have less stitches, and trying to flip it over and count in the back, it's just too time consuming. So I just put the marker in just for making it easier. And I'm back to plastic markers, by the way. I think my fingers are just too clumsy for the fancy ones. So in that corner space, we're going to work half a corner. So that's 2 half double crochets. And now I explained to you in the pattern how to close the corner. So you can go in and read that. So let me just actually show you quickly. So when you work a full corner, and if you're using the same color and you come around and you end on that first stitch, you then have to work your way into the chain 2 space and you create a bulky corner. So if you work half a corner and then close the corner when you end, it brings you into the chain 2 space where you want to start the next stitch. But go have a look at it, go read the explanation, and a big thank you to Debbie Hemsley and from the Neve collection, because I learned this trick from her. So this hidden stitch again, that one at the very first, it's often in that chain 2 corner space, the stitch covers, you're going to skip that and you're going to work a half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, just like that. Now those front post trebles from the row 8, we're now going to work a front post double crochet into each of those front post trebles. I just like that effect that it gives the corner. Some years ago when I had designed a square and I started to use the post stitches and it created such a attractive corner, and I thought, oh, I must use that in the blanket, so I have my chance to do that. So you see now I'm at that marker, so I know exactly where the next stitch is. So how easy is that? I don't even have to count. So take the time, find the stitches on each round, place your markers, use your markers, and you should not get lost. So follow the pattern. I don't want to give you the entire round. As I always say, it is a paid cal, and it's really unfair to those of you who have paid to have others come in and just, work the blanket without having paid for it. Okay, so we've worked our first set of the pattern, and I've tried to keep the little bits and pieces together because I do a number of things on a single round, and I keep swapping and working between rounds. So your stitch marker comes in handy. Count again, and now you're working the next 6 stitches as a front post. So the next 5 stitches as a front post. So on that 6th stitch, place your marker, and that just makes it so easy so that you're able to then figure out where that stitch goes. Yeah, and essentially that's there's nothing too difficult about it. We start working on round 47 of the mandala also, and we are now just working everything together now in the round, and we're just bringing it all together, so we're going to end up with a big square. Okay, I'm going to leave this. See how easy that was? So I knew where the stitch went. Now I can take my marker and carry on. I'm going to leave you to carry on with the pattern. I think it's fairly clear, and I will meet you on the next round. All right, so there we have it. We finished our round 1 of the square. That sounds a bit odd, but anyway. So in any chain to corner space, and preferably not the one that you ended in. You just want to avoid all your fastening your ends in being in exactly the same spot, and then it just makes it a bit bulky. So you skip that first stitch and then you work the pattern, and you'll see that I haven't pulled out the marker on this round yet, and the reason for that is we are actually not working in that stitch that is immediately after the post stitch, but we will be skipping it. So there we go, we've worked our post stitches. We're going to chain 1 and skip that stitch, and we are going to work the clusters in the V stitch. So the reason why I do the clusters also is to just tie in the corner with the rest of the blanket, and just to sort of create some consistency there. So you chain 1 and you skip the next stitch, and now you work your front post double crochets in the next 5 stitches. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. And again, I didn't bother with the marker because I am going to skip the next stitch. But can you see what I mean about tying it in? So the little flower appears in the corner, and now we've brought it into the squaring, into the square. So you skip the stitch and you work 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. It is a stitch that we used in the mandala, so I'm going to leave it there and come back and show you the more complex bit. Okay, so as I said, I'll see you on the next bit, and we are now towards the center of the blanket. So you've skipped that stitch, and now you're working on round 47 of the mandala. So you're working a double crochet in that. It's the skip stitch from the previous round, but it's really falls on round 47. And then you work a back post half double crochet in that center half double crochet of the 3 half double crochet group. So I'm just going to let you watch that. So that double crochet is worked in front, not over the stitches. Okay, I'm just trying to stretch it out a bit, and I want you to just have a look. So there's the back post half double crochet around the center, and there you go. I'm bending it towards the, or folding it towards the back to work that double crochet. Can you see? There you go. And I think it just creates such a nice effect with having that double, that group of 3 half double crochets framed by the double crochets. And that's all there is to this round. It's not complicated at all. And yeah, if you just read the pattern, and if you are a little bit stuck, you can always ask on the Facebook group. But I think it's so detailed that you'll find your way. So now I'm going to see you then on the next round. All right, so now we're working on round 3, and I just want to show you quickly. It's not yet a square. It's okay. It will get there. But look at those stitches. How gorgeous is that? And yeah, these post stitches create such an interesting corner. And that is all frilly. but it will come together when you work those double crochets. Okay, so in any chain to corner space, preferably not the one that you fastened off the previous round in, that will be your starting point. And yeah, I still have ends to stitch in. I'm going to try and hide that from view. Okay, so we are going to start with a standing half double crochet in the chain two corner space. And again, we're working half corner and we'll close it as we come around to complete the round. And we're skipping the first stitch and now it's a half double crochet in 5. So remember we started round 1, we had 3 half double crochets, round 2 was 4, and now we have 5. We are still continuing with the front post stitches. And it's fairly simple from this point onwards because the pattern is so detailed. I'm just going to let you watch a little bit without talking too much, because my throat is really starting to hurt also. So I'm going to skip that chain 1 space and work a front post half double crochet around the cluster, and then a single crochet in the next chain 1 space, front post half double crochet, single crochet, front post half double crochet. There you have it. And it just really makes those stitches pop. Okay, and then we have our 5 front post stitches. Okay, so if you hear me sniffing a little bit, I'm also at the same time whilst doing this sucking on a throat lozenge to try and ease that sore throat. So apologies for all the additional sounds. So there's our double crochet in the skip stitch from the previous round. Okay, so just like I showed you in the center, it's exactly the same thing. It's a double crochet in that skip stitch and it's a back post half double crochet around the center half double crochet of that 3 half DC group. Right, and then just keep going and just follow the pattern. All right, I'm actually going to just get to the center point. Okay, so we're almost at the very end. Oh, there you go, all done. How pretty is that stitch? Okay, so the next part of the pattern now is we've done exactly what we've just finished now on the previous round, and you are now going to skip that double crochet, and in that back post half double crochet is where you will work your 3 half double crochets. If I can actually get that in, there we go. And really that's all I wanted to show you. I'm being very, very clumsy. But there you have it. So you are skipping the double crochet and working into the back post half double crochet. and I'll see you on the next round.
Okay, so these are pretty corner. Now rows 5, 6 and 7 are the same stitch. I'm not going to do a video on each round, but just to show you round 5, our corners are now a double crochet. So first, second in that center, you're going to work half your corner, and now you're going to skip the next stitch and work a double crochet in the next stitch and skip a stitch. Now a double cross is worked over 1, 2, 3 stitches, so you've already skipped that one. So now how you work it is you skip that, okay, and then you work a double, 2 double crochets, and then work a double crochet in the stitch that you skipped, creating that cross. And you basically will do this 27. Skip the stitch, work 1, 2, and now you work double crochet into that skipped stitch. Can you see that effect? And essentially that is the stitch for the next 3 rounds. It's going to be repeated, and then I'll catch up with you on round 7. And in the meantime, I'm just going to keep working this.
All right, round 4. I've not started from the beginning. We all know how to do a single crochet. There's really nothing to that. The only part of this round where you're working the pattern is working a double crochet into that skipped double crochet and then a back post half double crochet around the center post of that 3 half double crochets, and you'll see that those double crochets are lining up quite nicely. So yeah, that's our round 4. That's all there is to it, really. So I'm going to see you then on the next round. I'm going to finish this and be back. So the next 3 rounds are exactly the same pattern repeat. So 5, 6, and 7 are exactly the same. I'm not going to do individual rounds. But I do want to show you the stitch that I'm using. So let's do round 5. We're going to start in the center single crochet. And you're going to now work a double crochet. So your corners are not half double crochets anymore. They are double crochet corners. You'll skip that first stitch. Then you're going to work a DC in the next stitch. And you're going to skip the next stitch. But essentially now what you're doing here is you're skipping 2 stitches, because the first stitch of this pattern is actually skip a stitch, work a double crochet in the next stitch, and a double crochet in the next stitch, and now work a double crochet in the stitch that you skipped. There you have it. Okay. So let me show you that again. Skip a stitch, work a double crochet in the next stitch, a double crochet in the next stitch, and now work a double crochet in the first stitch that you skipped, or in the skipped stitch. There you go, and it creates that double cross, and that just creates a nice effect, and it's a little bit different from your standard cross. So the only thing that changes on the rounds 6 and 7 is the very end, the corners, but the rest is the same, and just make sure that your double cross is over the next double cross. So there we have it. We are now finished. We've worked our 3 double cross, and you can see that difference I was telling you about. On round 5 we had the 1 DC, on round 6 we had 2, and in round 7 we then made that into a double cross. Okay, so that's our rounds 5 to 7. And there we have it. We are on the last round for this week, which is round 8. And really, I don't even need to show you how to do this round because you are now really you are pros at doing half double crochet. So we're going to start in any chain 2 corner space and work half a corner. The only difference really in this round is do not skip that hidden stitch. We need that stitch. We need it to make up the stitch count for the next pattern repeat. And yeah, just keep going with your half double crochet all around. And at this point, I am now absolutely starting to lose my voice a bit. And I think I'm going to call it a night. And yeah, just keep going and finish up that round. And I'm going to see you next week when we start our next block of pattern repeats. So until then, take care, goodbye, enjoy.